Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's play some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, continuing with our complete beginner's guide to the Minotaur Berserker. And, you know, I thought it might be fun to see a little bit deeper in the dungeon. So here we are on Dungeon 5, ready to roll to Dungeon 6. Alright, so this is a new staircase, new look, new level. Pushing O, as always, to auto-explore. We got a couple of undead enemies. Just going to bring them back into this kill zone. Now, I'm just chopping through these skeletons, zombies, and you'll see I'm getting hit a little bit. Understand that, for the most part, 99% of the time, the undead version of the enemy is going to be easier than the real version, so it's less of a threat. Alright, so for example, like a real Hydra would be more difficult than or I'm sorry, a real Wyvern would be more difficult than that Wyvern skeleton that we just fought. But if they're just always undead, like Necrophage, then he's always the same difficulty level. Let's just bring him back. I want to fight him, so, you know, I don't mind fighting him. We just fight him here, 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 and got him. I don't want him in that area that's open because I don't want more things to come to wander into the battle. Same thing with that. Let's just bring it back. Howler Monkey. Alright, Howler Monkey I'm actually going to charge, okay? Because you see Howler Monkey says in the lower left he howls. What he's doing is making a ton of noise and alerting like all the enemies nearby. So generally, if I fight a Howler Monkey, let's just walk away from the area where he was, because the enemies are going to be converging on that spot. Now, if nobody heard him, then it's going to do nothing different. Oh, we found Prince Ribbit. Alright, so Prince Ribbit is a unique named enemy who is a prince that's been turned into a frog, and the only solution to this problem is to beat him. Now, don't get it twisted. Prince Ribbit is hard. He hits hard. Okay, frogs in general hit harder and have more health than you would think. So I'm going to just go ahead and... Now, I will say too, I want to go Berserk on Prince Ribbit, but the problem is he blinks. So I'm going to go Berserk, and you see he has blinked away from me. But because of this area, you see how there were very few places for him to go. If this was a wide open room, we could not have done that. But even with his blink, we were able to cross the distance to him. And you can see, even when we were here, we only had one urge to attack something. And most of the time, especially if you're, the more piety you get with Trog, at least I think, maybe that's just how it feels, but not how it really is. When you do attack something, Trog will give you more time with your Berserk. So if you do start attacking, it generally doesn't fall off of you while you're attacking things, but it can, especially if it's been a long time. But in that case, we were okay. Now I'm going to go up the steps right here and just rest up to full, go back down. And we got a scroll, and we got, wow, another Wand of Acid. So now we have 17 charges with that Wand of Acid, which is phenomenal. I'm going to actually switch to my sling. Oh, he has wisely stepped out of the way, so I will do the same. I'll go back here. And now I can fire on him a little bit, switch back, and just throw a rock at him, and he's gone. Okay, protection from fire. Okay, great. So we got our first ring that we're actually, second ring, rather, that we want to wear. So the Ring of Fire, just like the Ring of Ice, we can't wear that. It's going to make us vulnerable to ice magic. But Ring of Protection from Fire has no downside. It's just protection from fire. So if I push Shift 5... you'll see that we have Resist Electricity from our Artifact Ring Mail. We have Resist Fire from our Ring of Protection from Fire. And we have a Pip of Willpower from our Ring of Willpower. Now, I do want to say something. I don't know if I described this well enough, but this Ring Mail that we got is Artifact. Artifact items have their text in this strong white color when you see it. So they're not blue like magical items. They're even a level better than magical items. Now, that doesn't mean they're always going to be better than a magical item. But what it means is they will have a name, like this is called Unwise or whatever, just some kind of random thing, and they will have the chance to roll for many more properties than just a magical item. Like a magical item that you find can only have one brand on it. So it could be, you know, like +4 plate mail of fire resistance or something like that you find if it's just magical. And that will be it has fire resistance and it has an enchantment, and that's the best it could get. But an artifact plate mail could be +4 plate mail of fire resistance and resist electricity and +5 strength, and you know, more and more brands go in these curly brackets. So artifacts have the highest ceiling in terms of like being insane. And there are let me go back to that screen. There are random artifacts like this one, and then there are fixed artifacts that you'll find that will be the same no matter what run that you're doing. If you find a fixed artifact, you'll be like, oh, it's this one, and, you know, maybe some of the properties within it are randomized, but I think for the most part, all of its attributes are fixed, and it just has some kind of unique function within the game, like the Shield of the Gong, which is a hilariously good shield at blocking, but it's a gong, so every time people hit it, it alerts enemies, makes a big loud noise. So do you want to use it? Do you not? I'm using things in Sue, but this is a random artifact, and they have a chance to be really, really good, but you might find like +10 ring mail of resist electricity or something like that, of insulation or whatever, and that's going to be way better than this. So you just have to kind of look and compare which is better for you. Here's Blork, the orc. Hilarious name, and he's a named unique. Let's go look at his powers. So he has magic. So he's an orc, so don't be fooled like, oh, well, you know, he's just going to be melee. No, no, no. He's got Throw Frost, okay? He's got Haste, he's got Magic Dart, and he has Throw Flame. So this is like, he's a great example of why you don't wear one of those Rings of Fire or Rings of Frost or whatever, Ice, because this guy would rip you apart. So watch out for him. I'm going to actually use Trog's Hand and then step down and then wait. Oh, he's going to do that. Or I got to step into him. And I'm going to swing once. He hit me. And sometimes what I like to do is just feel it out. Like, do I want to go berserk? There's a possibility that if I got a really good hit on him and he didn't hit me, that I would just not go berserk. But in this case, I'm low enough. I'm at 59, which is like not super low. But again, you need to learn for yourself what your tolerance is, what your threshold is when you go berserk. I like to go berserk earlier than later so I can actually survive. And just feel it out. Like, I fought this guy a bunch. This could go either way. I'm probably going to win. Like, I feel like even if I didn't go berserk with my regeneration right here, I probably have like a 70% chance to just beat this guy. He's not wearing armor. You see his big belly exposed. So if I get a good hit with this axe, he's going to be ripped apart. But let's just seal the deal. Let's go berserk, and he's dead in 2 shots, right? And then we'll step onto his body. And this is a good enough place. I'm just going to rest. You could see, like, there's a possibility that somebody comes from down here or below, but for the most part, this place is okay for me to rest, and I like the idea of just resting where I'm at, because any enemy that was around would have just come around the corner anyway, and I don't want to walk around slow up this way, but, you know, that's just my choice. There was still a risk doing that, but I felt it was pretty negligible. Alright, and we just blast this snake, and we rest, and we search. And man, I'm getting a lot of scrolls. This is beautiful. One of your early goals in the game is to identify every scroll and every potion, at least of the common ones that you can get. Like, maybe you won't find a scroll of acquirement, you know, one of the more rare scrolls, or a potion of experience or something like that. But for the most part, you're going to see a bunch of different scrolls and potions, and once you get them all done, it's a beautiful way to be. Now, you'll notice something has happened. Okay, first of all, we got a Wand of Ice Blast with 11 charges, which is great. A Wand of Ice Blast it creates an area of effect explosion and does ice damage, so it's a really nice wand to have. It's a 3x3 explosion radius. But you'll see on the map here, all these X's have appeared. These are travel excluded areas, which is what you see here. which means that auto-explore won't go through these, and it's basically the game's way of telling you, you could step here, and it could be dangerous, or it just outright is dangerous. This altar right here in the middle is just making random fire explosions in certain places, so this has an X on it, but there's nothing wrong with it right now, because there's no fire on it. But the squares that do have an active damage source on them that you can see not only have the exclusion X, but they have a double X. You can see how it's like doubly as thick and has a box around it. And that persists even after it's gone, okay? And so, like, for example, I'm like, hey, you know, what's going on here? It's just the floor. There's nothing that shows up, but when I try to walk on this, it's going to say, do you want to walk into a travel excluded area? The game is pretty nice about, like, being like, are you sure about that? And I say yes. Oh, but you have to push capital Y to say yes. And then I get in there. Now, the reason it's doing that is because of this, which is the granite statue right here. And it's a special statue that just wants to, like, put fire on me. All right, so anyway, I'm going to just walk around here, and I'm going to go through this travel excluded area. I could be hit by fire anywhere in there, but usually it's not going to be for like a ton of damage. But now you know, just, hey, don't go over there. And whenever you're trying to auto-explore, it's not going to let you go to any places where it's excluded. So if you really, really want to explore, you have to do this manually. And then there's a cloud of flame, and I'm going to walk... I walked into it accidentally. I'm going to walk away, and then now I'm going to go back in. The cloud of flame has dissipated. I can go back around. I'm going to walk through, and then there you go. The whole floor is mapped out. Terrific, and that's Dungeon 6. Took down a couple more elites, but before we go to Dungeon 7, I'm going to just find the staircase here, get myself right by it. I'm going to read some scrolls. So I have a bunch of unidentified scrolls. I'm going to read my identify to identify my potions. In general, when you're identifying potions, you always want to identify stacks that have more than one. And we got 2 potions of might. Those are really good. Boost our damage. Terrific. All right, let's read some unknown scrolls. And we got amnesia. This lets you forget a spell so that you can open up spell slots to learn a new spell. But for us, we don't do magic. Doesn't do anything. Enchant Armor. Perfect. All right, so here's the deal. We just found Enchant Armor. In general, when you find an Enchant Armor scroll, I like to say in general a lot, because in this game it's not, I just mean to say it's like not always the case. Usually I do it this way, but there would be exceptions, and so I'm just kind of giving you a best practice. I like to enchant accessories, gloves, helmets, cloaks, shoes, before I enchant my body armor, because there's a higher chance of me finding a better set of body armor that I want to replace, and so my enchantment would be wasted. Also, you can max out like a pair of gloves real easy. It only goes up to +2, and then you just have like a, you know, best in slot pair of gloves until you find an artifact or something better. But body armor, I think, goes up to either 9 or 10. And so, you know, you have a lot of enchantments to go, and then you're like, I'm at +6, and then you find something better. So I like to just wait on that until I get something for sure that I'm going to stick with. So I'm going to enchant these gloves, okay? And I do so, and you watch, my armor class goes up to 9, okay? So I get an armor class bonus from my gloves. Not a base armor bonus, but an armor class bonus. I'm going to read this, and it's teleportation, okay? So you see I get the teleport buff in the lower left corner, which means I'm about to teleport, and this is why Blink is the preferred escape scroll. Teleport's amazing, okay, because it can take you really, really far away. It could take you across the map, but it's going to teleport me to a random square on the map that is reachable, not into a wall or something diabolical like that, or on top of deep water or something. Just a, you know, a square that's you can go to. It could be the square right next to me, or it could be, you know, a square like way over here, but we don't know. And you have to wait for it to happen. So I'm going to watch me. I'm going to walk 1. I'm going to walk 2. I'm going to walk 3. It took 3 turns for that to happen, okay? So that's why teleport's good, but you can't use teleport when you're at 1 health because it's not going to do anything. You got to use it right away. Like, oh god, this is a terrible situation. I need to use teleport right away, prime it, and then try to stay alive long enough to let it kick in and pray that it doesn't teleport me right next to the enemy that I'm trying to run from. So it's a good scroll, but it's random. I'm going to read this scroll. I got 3 of them. What is this? Immolation. Okay. So Immolation is a scroll that can be really funny, but can also kill you. It basically puts this like inner fire within the enemies around you, and then when they die, they explode in like a ball of fire. So if you're a ranged attacker and you like imbue somebody with that and then blow them up and they blow up all the enemies around them, then it's beautiful. But if the guy's right next to you and you blow him up, he's going to affect you with his explosion. So I generally do not use Immolation. And that's why it's a purple scroll. It's kind of like one of those scrolls where like, are you sure you want to do this? There's some real negative consequences to this, but there can be some really positive ones. And we read the other scroll, and it's Enchant Weapon. Magnificent. All right. So here, I'm going to go ahead and do my War Axe. And now we have a War Axe +1. Fantastic. All right, let's head down to Dungeon 7. See what we got down here. Oh my, look at this party. All right, so what we have on this floor are wights. Now, wights are undead enemies that come in packs, so you'll pretty much never see just one unless it wandered very far away from its buddies, but the buddies will soon be around. Now, the thing about wights is they are unusual because they don't use any magic, but they can hit you and drain your life. The thing to note about them is that they don't really have armor, so they are just like, you know, wearing a shirt, but that's it. But they can do a ton of damage, particularly when you consider what weapon they have. So what I always do with wights is I just look around. So this wight, for example, has a +2 Falcon Protection, +0 longsword, +5 dagger, +2 hand axe, and +1 greatsword. So of these, the +1 greatsword is the scariest, but it's not the worst. Sometimes they can have huge magical weapons with brands, and you have to watch out for that. Now, wights are nice when you see them if you're a melee character, because they might have a good weapon for you, because generally their weapons are magical. Unfortunately, this poor wight just has a regular longsword. He lost the straw drawing when they were picking their weapons. Now, I'm going to go back up the steps and take one wight with me, the only one that was adjacent to me. Wights are undead, okay, but they will follow you up the steps. So there are some undead that will not, and some that will. All right, and this is one that will, and that's great, because that means that we can basically just stand here and swing away at this guy and eventually kill him. You'll see that he did drain our life, okay, but we got it back when we killed him, and we got our axes up to 16. And remember, we are training our axe to here. We just reached minimum delay. So, this is a good place to pivot, everybody. Let's pivot. So, axes are 16. So, you can train it more if you like, but I would recommend doing that later. Right now, as I explained many moons ago, this cost column on the skills is telling you how expensive relatively it is to train up this skill. And so your experience going into axes, okay, is going to give you much less return because it takes 14.8 in terms of the cost, okay? The relative cost compared to if I wanted to, let's just say, for example, raise up armor, which is at 2.1. So this is like 7 times more difficult to go up. And that's understood. This is not prohibitive. Sometimes this number gets into the 20s and higher, then it's really, really a grind to level it up. But we're going to turn it off, and I'm going to switch to another couple of skills. I'm going to turn on fighting, get that for a bit, and I'm going to turn on armor immediately and roll with this. So we haven't talked about the fact that I don't have a shield. And in general, I like to have a shield with this character build. most of the time, I want a shield instead of having like a two-handed axe, like a battle axe or an executioner's axe or something like that, unless it was just absolutely disgusting. I like this durability and survivability that a shield affords. However, I'm going to do Control F and I'm going to say shield. And we haven't found one yet, and that's Dungeon Crawl. I mean, we're not super deep in the dungeon, right? But we haven't seen a shield yet. That's why starting as a fighter is nice, because you automatically get a kite shield, like right out of the gate. And that can take a while to find. But here we haven't found one, and that's okay. So I would consider training shields right now, but you'll see it's not even an option because I haven't acquired a shield yet. Now, you can go for it if you want, okay? By pushing asterisks, and you can now unlock all the skills, okay? But if you push it again, it just goes to like what's it considers, quote, useful based on the equipment you have. And I'm going to train armor, but I would probably train shields, and I'm training fighting as well. Fighting, as I explained before, I believe, gives you hit points, and it's extremely nice to have more health. So we're just going to check out his Falcon Protection, and we're not going to use it. Protection is a brand that will give you augmented defense. It'll raise your armor class once you've swung it and you're fighting in melee with something. So it used to just always be on, and you could just hold the weapon and get a passive armor class bonus, which was amazing even if you weren't going to use the weapon. But they kind of nerfed it and made it so it only starts activating when you're actively using it in battle. So there you go. Okay, and I went back down the same set of stairs, which was a mistake. And now we're surrounded by all the whites, and they all got an attack on us. Now, we're going to go back up the steps. Okay. Now, the reason I did this is because the terrain above the steps you see here, they can't all surround me here in the same way, because these walls will start to serve as choke points. So I'm going to walk back up this way. I'm going to take a bunch of damage doing it, which is disastrous, but it has to happen. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. And we're getting swung at, but you can see our hit points are okay. And we're going to go here, here, and finally one more to here. And now I can fight them one at a time. Alright, so what I should have done is excluded that staircase and not gone down it, because all the enemies are just going to be waiting for me, and they're all going to get a free hit on me. And so if they had particularly dangerous weapons right there, they could have just killed us. So that was a mistake to go down there, but luckily we're stout enough to recover from that. Alright, so I am going to use Trog's Hand, and I'm going to go Berserk, and I'm just going to start swinging at these guys, and we kill them all. Alright, and we're going to go around the corner and rest, 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 rest. We got everything back, but you can see our maximum hit points are in parentheses 71, and we've been drained, so we need to earn experience to get back to our max. Now, I had 70 as my max before. Why is this 71? Well, because I just killed a bunch of difficult enemies, and I've already skilled up my fighting, which directly boosts my health. So how awesome is that? Alright, so now we can safely go down these stairs. That was a mistake on my part. Okay, there's a sling. And here's an ogre and his buddy, the orc. Alright, I'm going to cut over here. Hopefully there's no enemies. They'll probably work to flank me in this situation, if I had to guess. I'm going to wait, actually. I'm going to see if I can kill this ogre without going berserk. I can. And we got our health back, and actually, now we have 72 hit points, because fighting is going up so rapidly. Remember, the cost is so low because our level of this skill is so low that we're fighting difficult enemies that are yellow to us, you know, at experience level 9. So they're giving us a ton of experience, and it doesn't take much to level up fighting at this cost. Our armor is also going up. You will see our armor class improve at some point, but it won't readily happen too quickly with what we have on right now. It'll be more apparent when we start wearing bigger armor. That's another thing we're looking for, is some bigger armor. Scale mail's good, but we have chainmail, which is bigger. Oh, a blinking scroll. Now that's tremendous. All right, and we're going to fight this jelly. I'm just going to step up and kill it. We got an unknown scroll. I'm going to walk over and immediately get this blinking scroll. So that would have been good in the previous situation when we were surrounded by whites. After we came up the stairs, we could have just blinked up to that choke point instead of taking damage. There's a altar to Askaiwa, who is an awesome god choice if you want to play a melee character as well. Dance people to death. Oh my Moses, we've done it, people. We have done it. Okay, check me out now. I'm going to go shift 5. You see how I'm wearing these rings, right? Willpower, protection from fire. They're okay. This ring that we just picked up, a +4 Ring of Slaying, is a masterpiece for this character. Let me show you. All right, Ring of Slaying. It increases your accuracy and damage with ranged and melee attacks. So basically, it gives us +4 to hit and +4 damage. It is a huge pickup for this character. We push Shift P to put it on, Shift A for Ring of Slaying, and then it's going to ask you which one do you want to replace. Do you want to replace your willpower or your protection from fire? And for me, I'm going to replace my protection from fire. I'm going to say do that. And the reason is I hate taking fire damage. I'd love to mitigate it by 50%, which protection from fire or resist fire does, but also willpower is more important for me at this point because I don't want to be paralyzed or confused or put to sleep or some other kind of like will effect because that could potentially just kill me directly. Now, if I'm fighting an enemy I know has fire attacks, then I'll just take the half turn to swap on the Ring of Fire resistance. But for now, I'd like will over fire. That's just me. Now, I'll show you. My will is low. I mean, I'm not smart. I'm not willful, you know, or in the kind of way of like resisting mind abilities. So I need it with this character. You can choose fire and you'd be fine with that, but I like to have will. All right, I'm going to open this door, and here come the orc party, and we'll just wait here. And this right here, all right, look at the log. The orc wizard cast a spell, and he vanished. So this is an invisible orc wizard, or what I believe to be an invisible orc wizard. I can't be 100% certain, but based on the sound, the noise this guy's making, that's my guess, right? And the other orcs can't turn invisible unless they have potions or something. So this is something that this guy can do. And this guy can also, I don't think they're going to let me examine him here. No. But he can also confuse me. And again, that's why will save is nice. I'm going to step back and then step in. And just let go. And fight, fight, fight right here on this choke point. Okay? And I'm going to walk. Now, wait a minute. I tried to walk forward and I couldn't. This is how you fight an invisible enemy. Okay? So the orc is invisible, the orc wizard, and is in front of us. And we know that because we tried to walk and we couldn't, because he's blocking it. And it also says you closely miss something and you headbutt something. So we're fighting it. If you were on this square trying to fight it, it would be very difficult because you wouldn't know exactly where they were. Now, kudos to you if you have this build because you have an axe. So you could just stand on this square, hold control, and swing. And then you would swing in an arc and hit every tile around you. So you could pinpoint it that way, or maybe not pinpoint it, but at least damage it. But this way I really, really know where it is. All right? It's going to wear off over time. You could just run away, too, and wait for it to wear off. But the orc wizard is not really scaring me without buddies at this point. So I'm just going to kill it. And when you kill an invisible enemy, you'll see something right here where it says, like, you slash something, and then, you know, we got the kill. Trog likes it because it was a magic user, which Trog likes more. And then you'll see it say reactivating auto pickup, and you feel a bit more experienced. That is always the indication that you've killed something either off the screen or an invisible creature, okay? And so we did, and we're ready to go. Alright, anything good here? I'm just going to push G to look at the floor. No. There's a war axe, but ours is enchanted, so we'll keep it. And we're going to dance around, just auto-exploring. Picking up so many stones. And as you can see, I'm not really slinging that much. It can be useful, but at this point, I don't need it too badly. Alright, and that's Dungeon 7. How about that? Let's go to Dungeon 8. Oh, yes. All right, then. We've done it. Walk over calmly. Oh, no. The game was like, we're going to make this hard on you. Okay, there's some Yaks. I want to say this to you right up front. Yaks, they don't feel as hard as they used to be, but they hit hard and they have a ton of hit points. So watch out for Yaks. Do not underestimate them. They are beasts. In general in this game, enemies that are animals I find them to be more challenging at times than humanoid creatures. They can just hit you very easily. They do a lot of damage. So, you know, just be wary of that. And Yaks travel in packs. So how do we handle a Yak pack? You see that little rhyme? I'm just going to step here, and I'm going to bring one Yak up the steps. Now look at the AI. This Yak is coming back around here to flank me. So this Yak would move up. Then I would be fighting a Yak here, and this guy would come do a pincer move on me from the other side. But if I go up the stairs now, I just fight one Yak at a time. Just calmly rip it apart. Our fighting goes up to level 5. Our armor skill to level 4. And that's beautiful. And we're doing great. Now, I am going to go back down, and we're going to get hit by 2 Yaks at the same time. That's a bummer. So I'm going to rest to full. And we're going to do that, right? Actually, we're going to get hit by 3 Yaks, okay? So they lined up this way, but they didn't pincer attack us, which is great. But you can see here they did not really do damage to us, and we headbutted them on 2 of them, and I'm going to go back up. And now we're cornered, all right? Yaks everywhere. So this is the time when we go berserk. And we kill the Yak right here first to the right so that we can, if need be, move into this hallway and guarantee 1 at a time, but we won't really need to. And what they've done is traded places to prevent that from being an option anyway, but it doesn't matter. We have an axe and we're berserk. They don't stand a chance against us. And we're only going to fight 2 at a time with that staircase, so it's a nice staircase for us. And we got to level 10, and our armor skill is level 10 as well. And you can see our armor class has zoomed up to level 10, and we're going to rest, get away from the berserk debuff, the slow debuff, get our health fully charged. And by the way, look at our big 83 hit points going up, right? Fighting going up, armor going up. Now, I'm going to go back down. Hopefully all the Yaks are dead. And this is what I was excited about initially, which is this plate armor. I'm going to push G to pick it up, and I'm going to go back up the stairs. Plate armor is kind of your midterm goal. It might be the best armor you get. It might be. It's fantastic heavy armor. It's hard to use, but we don't care. We're strong, and we're going to raise armor, so it's going to be fine for us. All right, let's check on Dungeon 8. Looks good. Okay, I do have some scrolls of identify, so let me read it. And, well, the only thing we can identify is a scroll. So I'm actually going to push escape and not use the scroll right there because I'm not sure if I want to. Now, one thing you can always do, okay, is push the backslash. I think it's the backsplash. I can never tell. Like, it's the key above the enter key that's a slash anyway. And you will open up the recognized items, which we looked at before. And what you can do is just see by toggling to unrecognized by pushing the hyphen. I can look at what scrolls I don't know. So the scrolls I don't know are acquirement, brand weapon, which are very good. You can see the rarity of them. Fog, okay, holy word, magic mapping, silence, and torment. The only really bad one there is torment. And the other ones, I'm fine with reading acquirement. I'm fine with reading brand weapon. Fog would waste it. Holy word would waste it. Mapping would also waste it because we know this level. And silence wouldn't really do anything. We just wait till it's done, and torment would wreck our health. So I'm going to read this without identifying it, and it's fog, which was the most likely choice there because of the common, or it was the uncommon scroll of the bunch. And I'm saving my identifies for potions. But we're doing pretty well on potions, actually. We have a good bit of them recognized. And remember, by pushing the slash that's above the enter key to bring up recognized items and going to unrecognized, you can even look at your potions. And you can see that I have about, looks like about 10 here that are not identified yet. Okay, so there you go. Now I'm going to get the boots. Boots are great. We don't have any boots. If I push shift 5, you can see myself. I have no boots, no amulet, no cloak. My helmet is restricted because I'm a Minotaur, but I can wear a hat, and I have no shield. So if I go to shift W for wearing these boots here, you'll see that I go up to 11 armor class, all right? But, whoops, I took a break, and I had forgotten why I had gone back up. I thought it was because of the Yaks or whatever. I'm going to go up this staircase to finish mapping this level. It's just a vault room for the Skywalker altar, and there's only one way in and out, and it's this staircase here. But even this will do fine. I was going to put on my plate mail, okay? So if you look at my ring mail, it does give me resist electricity, which is great. But check this out. Look at my armor class. You see how it's 11? I have 11 evade, okay? I'm going to put on... oops, I'm going to... Sorry, shift W this plate armor. Now, you want to do this on a level that you're not hanging out on with enemies, because it needs to be a level where there's no enemies, because it takes many turns to put on plate armor and to take off your armor, so you don't want to be caught naked changing armor. It's just embarrassing, and you'll be having to fight a fight without armor on. It's terrible, and you don't want to ever finish putting on armor when enemies are nearby, because they'll get free attacks while you're trying to like put on your armor. It's also a bad scene. So I'm going to put this on, okay? Look at the turns, by the way. 8, 6, 1, 5, okay? It takes 10 turns to put this on. So anyway, we put it on, and we go up to 15 armor class. We go down to 7 evade. So it's basically like we flopped 7 evade and got 15 armor class. But it's more than that, because if I go into my inventory and I look at my plate armor, you'll see that its base armor rating is 10, okay? And if I look at the ring mail, you'll see the base armor rating is 5. So even though the calculations have shifted slightly, we got some more Ice Blast here, Potion Lignification. Armor class is good, but base armor is still really, really important. So we're going to be taking way less damage at the expense of some evasion. Now, here we go. Never easy, right? We found ourselves Erica. Erica is a nasty one. She's the fiery tempered, all right? Well, remember what I talked about with that ring of fire. Let's, or protection from fire. Check this out. I'm going to go over to Erica. I'm going to push X, push V to get to her. Now look what she's got. She has a flaming sword, all right? She's a wild-tempered adventuress. So she has a flaming sword, so the resist fire would do good against the extra bonus fire damage that her scimitar does, but we want to keep our willpower ring on to resist her hexes like slow and confuse, okay? But if she goes invisible, which is one of her abilities, and Venom Bolt is another ability, and Force Lance, she has really nasty stuff. Like, I mean awful stuff. So we need to be quite mindful of this. All right, so what scrolls we have? We have none, but oops, no, we have blinking. Okay, there we go. And we have Wand of Acid Flame and Ice Blast. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to immediately push A and then B to Trog's hand. This will give us much more willpower, okay? I'm going to step over here, and she's actually coming at us, which is a blessing. And then I will go Berserk. So she's close enough that I'm going to go Berserk. If this goes badly, I'm going to need to maybe blink away, but remember, I cannot do that while I am Berserk. I'm going to push A, go Berserk, and step into her, and bam. Okay. So we've hit her, but she blasted us with poison. So we're taking poison damage, but we are regenerating. All right. I'm going to hit her again. And We're really sick. I missed her, but I headbutted her. I'm going to hit her again, and she's dead. So, again, I mean, look at this. Look at what happened here. We sliced her, so we did a ton of damage with this shot. Then, she was almost dead, and then she hit us with her sword and burned us. But then we missed her, and we killed her with the headbutt. I mean, the headbutt was like the MVP. We hit 3 times with headbutt, and one time it did 1 exclamation point, one time it did negligible, and another time it did 2 exclamation points. So having a 25 strength with our headbutt with our horns on it was the difference there. So luckily she didn't knock us away or anything, or confuse us, or go invisible. She just poisoned us and hit us a bit, but we did fine. So I'm going to step back around the corner, and we need to just rest. Now, we're still poisoned, okay? But we're also regenerating, and you can see the poison has gone down to yellow, meaning it's about to wear off. You can also see the amount of damage you'll take from the poison up here in yellow. So, like, I'm going to go down in hit points because of poison, but then it'll wear off. So it's done. And the last tick of poison I took is that last red indicator there showing the last bit of damage I took, 5. I rested. I recovered this many hit points while I rested. And I stopped resting because I lost my slow. I rest again. I recovered this many hit points and then stopped because now we recover from Berserk Rage. And I'm going to do it again. And bam, we are at full health. Alright, and you'll notice also that our fighting leveled up and we got to health 84. So beautiful. Now she has a Scimitar of Flaming. I'm going to get it. I'm going to pick it up. Just in case I have to fight a Hydra. Probably not the best weapon for it, but it is flaming, so maybe it could work. Here's some zombies. These are not challenging. And also, note that when you see undead versions of enemies that you know, like the Howler Monkey, for example, it can't do its special ability. It can't shout for things because it's a zombie. So that's why, one of the main reasons why the zombie versions are just generally easier. They don't use magic and stuff like that. They don't have a lot of the abilities. They're just a big, you know, strong meat bag kind of thing. All right, I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to play hide behind the wall from the Orc Priest. I'm going to push S. There he is. And I'm going to hit him. And I'm going to... He buffed himself up. I'm going to hit him again. And I'm going to hit him. Luckily, he didn't smite us. Smite is an ability that Orcish priests have. They're the orcs that are holding, like, a tablet that looks kind of like the Ten Commandments with a buff symbol on it. And a green robe and a knife. They are one of the early game killers of characters worlds over because they have an ability called Smite, which targets you, and it even gives a name to a type of targeting in the game called Smite targeting, which is basically like, I just need line of sight on you, but I don't need line of fire. So as long as I can see you, I can hit you with this, and it doesn't miss. So it's really awful, and it does a pretty good amount of damage. I believe it caps out at 14 damage, and I don't really care too much about your armor class, I don't think, and so you can just get punched in the face by those things, and they hide behind their buddies, and you can't reach them, and they are always tricky. Alright, there's another one. Okay, so I'm going to actually try to hide again, and I'm going to go over here. And there was also a wizard, so we have to watch out for that. Okay, so luckily he came right around the corner. I'm going to go fight the wizard immediately, and we just killed him. Okay, good. Here's a potion that we don't know what it is, so this is going to be for our scroll of identify. Ooh, a bunch of gnolls, remember? As from before, gnolls come in packs, but by this point we have plate armor. Our armor class, by the way, you see it has gone up to 16 from the 15 earlier because our armor skill is raising. When you start raising your armor skill, it will just generally increase the benefit of armor class that you get from things that you wear, and the more benefit, the bigger the armor, the more benefit you can get, so that it scales better with like big heavy armor like plate mail. So that's why, you know, I like it for this build, and we're getting armor class. Now, when we fought these guys before, they were harder. I'm just going to walk it back here, one at a time, wreck these things. None of them have a reach weapon. Bam, bam, bam. Exploding dudes. Alright. There's another scroll of fog for us, and it is identified because We already cast it, so we know what it is. Scroll of Fog, by the way, is a beautiful scroll to use if you're getting hit from range and you need to make a getaway and you don't want to get shot at while you're running. It does not guarantee, okay, that they won't be able to hit you, but it does give you some concealment. They can fire in your direction even if they can't see you, but it's nice for things that require them to see you. We got a Wand of Mind Burst. Oh my god. Did we just pick up 3 scrolls of Enchant Armor? We did. Oof. That is a spicy meatball. That is an insane pickup for this character. Oh, that's so good. Alright, let's just kill these guys. And, oh, there's so many of them. What a party. Here's the Shaman. He was late. He didn't get to buff anybody. Okay, now that right there, by the way, everybody. Right here, coming on the screen. Even if you can't see sometimes, like even if you're not paying attention, looking in the water, thinking the enemies can even come from the water, always look over here at your list of visible enemies. There's an electric eel. It's up here floating in the water. Electric eel is a diabolical creature because it shoots electricity that can do a bunch of damage, and I'm standing by a wall. So there's a good chance that the electricity will bounce off the wall and hit me more than once. And it's just generally terrifying. Now, let me show you though. Do you want the solution to an electric eel? We actually have it with this character. You push Shift V for evocables, and you go to your wands. Wand of Flame is one of the most common wands in the game, if not the most common. And you select it, and you aim at the electric eel like that, and you blast him. If it doesn't kill it in one shot, it's going to do a ton of damage to it. And the reason is, you hit him, it does a bunch of damage, and then it creates these scalding steam clouds that also damage it. So it's taking damage from the fire blast and the scalding steam. It's usually enough to kill them. These guys are pretty squishy. They just do a bunch of damage, and they're hard to get to. They can run away from you, and they have huge range with their ability. Luckily, the Wand of Flame has the same range that they have, so you can fire back at them. It is a wand that is almost exclusively used for that purpose. You can find other uses for it, of course, and it gets better as your evocation skill increases. But for us, it's like the hard counter to those really annoying creatures. All right, here's a Centaur. This guy is hard for us. We're going to be okay, but he's going to get a bunch of good shots at us with his bow, and we don't have a shield to block. So it's kind of painful. So I'm going to actually duck back into this corner. You see he gets a free shot on us. And this way he can't shoot at us until he gets to this square. Now, Centaurs are tough because they have horse bodies, newsflash, but that means they move really fast. So they're really hard to run away from. They can cover ground quite quickly. They're also very strong. And their bows should not be underestimated. And the upper level Centaurs should be feared. Centaur Chiefs, they fire and they hit you for... I've been one-shotted a few times by those dudes. They are merciless. So you got to watch out for them. You got to take advantage of your terrain like this. So I'll just push S a few times and you see him. Now watch me. When I step into melee range with him, okay, he has unwielded his short bow so he can fight me with a melee weapon. But luckily for us, he doesn't have one. He's just put his bow down and he's like just fighting us with his bare hands. He has a good strength, so he could maybe punch us pretty well, but we're wearing metal on our body, so it's hard for him. All right, and we're finished exploring Dungeon 8. Okay, great. So let's use our Identify scroll on these 2 potions. Potion of Mutation and Attraction. Okay, these are both potions that we are probably not going to use. Maybe Attraction with this character. I'm going to drop my potion right now of... I'm going to drop these scrolls of Immolation, okay? And... oh, okay, I got to push X, and then I got to say... I also want to drop the Potion of Berserk Rage. I already go Berserk, it's fine. And I'm going to drop the Potion of Mutation like that. Potion of Mutation... not really something you want to drink. You want to use it later if you get mutated to help cure your mutation, but you don't... here, I'll show you. it can remove several mutations and then grant a few random mutations, which are likely but not guaranteed to be beneficial. So you use it if you have really bad negative mutations, which some later enemies can do to you. If you want to check mutations, push Shift A to see your innate abilities. And this is the weirdness of mutations. Mutations will be listed in red if they are negative here. I don't have any. I just have a pair of horns on my head and I headbutt people. Good stuff. Now, I don't want to use that now. I might come back and get it later if I get mutated, but even though it can cure some mutations, you, number one, can't guarantee which mutations it will cure. If you have a few of them, it just randomly cures some of them. And then it also could give you a negative mutation. Sometimes it gives you a good one and then cures the one that you want, and you're just whistling Dixie, you know, feeling great. Other times, it doesn't cure the mutation that you wanted, and it gives you a worse mutation, and you are sad. Alright, so now I have 16 armor class, 86 hit points, and a smile. And looks like my skills, I'm still happy training armor and fighting. I'd like to get them to about 10, and then pivot over to evocations, perhaps, and maybe some dodging. Then I'm going to read my enchant armor, okay? So we're going to enchant our stuff. Now remember what I said about the plate armor. Even though it's awesome and we're happy we got it, I'm not going to enchant it right now. I'm going to enchant these gloves and these boots to maximum, okay? I just have a very high likelihood of finding a magical set of plate mail. Lots of enemies wear it. That is better than this, and it's less likely that I'll find gloves or boots, especially gloves or boots that are magical. So I'm going to enchant my gloves, and I'm going to use this on my boots, and I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to enchant my boots, and now we have a 19 armor class, which is quite substantial. Our evasion has even gone up from 7 to 8, and that's an artifact of us raising our armor. Your armor skill also helps mitigate the encumbrance rating from gear that you have on, armor that you have on, and encumbrance will take away from your ability to like cast spells and your ability to dodge. And the stronger you are and the better armor skill you have, the more you can mitigate that and be more maneuverable in your armor. So we're doing really, really well. And everyone, I think this is a good place to stop this episode of the beginner's guide. At this point, this isn't like a complete beginner's guide. This is more like a medium player guide. You know, we're on Dungeon 8, level 10. But I'm going to keep going with this to try to show you more content so that you can see how this character evolves over time and get stronger, and how you adapt it, how you arrange your skills, how you use your new abilities, and how you approach harder threats. Everyone, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an excellent evening or day. I'll check you next time. Take care.